Trump Force One there, the president-elect said, "I'm headed to the great state of Texas to watch the launch of the largest object ever to be elevated not only to space, but simply by lifting off the ground. Good luck to Elon Musk and the great patriots involved in this incredible project." Something else.
We are never acknowledging autoimmune diseases, not even autoimmune diseases, which, by the way, there are multiple AIDS denialists now in the Trump cabinet. Elon Musk was retweeting one earlier saying that Dr. Fauci pushed an AIDS medication that killed everyone. Like AIDS killed no one, but the AIDS medication killed everyone. And RFK Jr. is an AIDS denialist. He doesn't think that HIV causes AIDS. Multiple, yeah, in the party. It's all like I'd be willing to bet Dr. Oz probably is too. Like he has a history of crankery when it comes to stuff like this. He might also think that AIDS is caused by like other stuff. Are there autism/ADHD denialists in the party? By denialists, you mean RFK Jr. thinks that we should be sent to camps to pick flowers or whatever, then yes. Yeah, he thinks gay people got AIDS because of poppers.
Else that happened while Trump Force One was in the air. The president-elect nominated Howard Lutnick to lead the Commerce Department. He says, in part, he will lead our tariff and trade agenda with additional direct responsibility for the Office of the United States Trade Representative. This was Lutnick talking tariffs.
Okay, I don't even care, man. Whatever. Just end this segment. I'll watch the SpaceX thing only to see if it blows up. Okay? Is that fair?
Directly from the side of the engines. Or sorry, actually on a panel around the rim of the engine skirt.
Space flight now. Is there a more official?
All that gets dumped into a pond, which it doesn't appear
everyday
has
astronaut
started yet.
No, this doesn't look right. You have to admit the Starship is cool from a pure science perspective. I don't really think that, to be honest, because my interest in space travel has more to do with how it can enable the development of technologies that help humans, and that will never happen as long as SpaceX presides over it. Like it is more like symbolically represented to me. This to me is like sickening. The like massively subsidized corporate entity owned by a fascist, the fascist now, Elon Musk, doing this as part of like a stunt while the president-elect watches. Is there another live stream that I could watch?
Directly from the side of the
Is there like
engines,
a more official one? They stream on Twitter?
Actually on
the everything
a panel around the...
Okay, here. Of course they stream on Twitter.
Do not be surprised if this is not a smooth flight to splashdown today. We are intentionally looking for how far we can push and discover the vehicle's true limits as we plan for future ship return and catch.
Remember that time that they had a launch that was so disastrous that it kicked up debris for miles all around? And then Elon was on Twitter being like, no, we meant to do that.
Now, just like Flight 5, one of our objectives for Flight 6 is attempting to return the booster to the launch site to be caught by the tower. The booster for this flight has upgrades to add redundancy across its propulsion system, increase the structural...
MX Dizzy, I'm not saying that microplastics aren't bad for you. I'm saying that like 99.9% of the time, if you are unhealthy and going to a doctor, it's because of like usually, especially with regards to the food you eat, a pretty simple problem. Like it's usually not that complicated for the most part. For most people, it's just too much blood sugar, too much fat, whatever. Like it's usually stuff like that, you know? Yeah, lack of physical activity.
Much faster.
I'm not saying there aren't other cases. It's just for the most part, that's what's affecting people, and I want the focus to be on that.
Again.
Exactly. In this video, you can see our original render of booster catch alongside the actual footage of catch from Flight 5. This video is just mind-blowing to see the predicted versus reality. And just like the last flight for today's booster catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn, or if automated health checks show unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default.
Why do we have to catch the rocket though? Well, because that's the point. You know, the idea is to make it a reusable rocket. Before, the reusable rockets that we had were like space. We didn't have reusable rockets. We had like reusable rocket planes that would go up and then launch the rocket, and the rocket would not be reusable, but you'd get to like land the plane and use that again. But now we have a reusable rocket, which is very impressive, though I still feel like there's some kind of tech breakthrough. There's some underlying... There's something else. There's something... I feel like there's something missing. Doesn't it only last like 3 launches? Well, sure, but that still saves billions, you know?
way, we'll be getting tons of in-flight data, which is extremely valuable.
Exactly. That first catch was pretty epic, though. So, like you, we'll be keeping our hopes high to see another one this afternoon. Now, Dan, you got to see it in person last time. Are you mentally prepared for a possible round two?
I mean, probably not. That was pretty hands down the coolest thing I've ever seen. And the fact that we're going to do that every time now breaks my brain a little bit, but it was absolutely incredible.
I think it's okay to be soy about this, to be honest with you guys. I'm not really, whatever. I mean, it's literally rocket science. I'm not gonna go after people for being excited. A lot of the employees in SpaceX are probably liberals. They're just, where else in America could you do this work? There's literally like one company doing this. I guess there's Blue Origin as well.
But if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. And in this video, you can see as we were descending, and there was kind of that quick triple pop that you heard. Now that was picked up from closer to the pad. Most people at our distance and further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of each other that it might just sound like one big bang. But as I said, that's something that's only associated with spacecraft being reused. We hear it with Falcon 9. We heard it during Shuttle, and looking forward to hopefully...
Like, I won't deny it's incredibly impressive to be able to land a rocket backwards like that with such precision that you can make it back onto the launch pad you originally landed on. I can't even do that in Kerbal Space Program, It's impressive. I wonder if we'll ever be able to do this without a launch tower. That'd be pretty cool. Probably not. Well, maybe. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen in the future. There are just so many, like, fundamental physics problems with trying to escape orbit because our planet is so dang heavy. Feel free to, MX Dizzy. Just the links, though, because otherwise I've been a busy boy, so just the links, but I do appreciate it.
Which is under 2 years from now. Now, you might be familiar with the Starlink logo, which you see there on your screen. It's an iconic representation of the Mars transfer orbit, also called the Hohmann transfer orbit. This transfer window, or the time between the time when Earth and Mars are closest to each other, opens every 26 months and is only open for about 2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar to how we launched to the International Space Station, where we timed the launches to match the station's orbit. If we didn't do this, we would need more propellant and more time to get there.
So
I will say, and I know that there are going to be people in chat who don't like this, I really hate how we're soying out over Mars when we still haven't done the moon base yet. Like, the moon base is obviously the first step. You can make it to and from the moon in a few days, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's go with Mars, with the transfer window being like 2 years or whatever. That, dude. Like, what? We're skipping a pretty important step. That's what this test is for, Vosh. This test right here is for the moon base.
Starship will be used to land astronauts on the lunar surface on NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will put the first humans on the moon since 1972.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on orbit, which you can see there on your screen, with a Starship prop tanker docked with a fuel depot. Next year, we're planning to test this capability, but...
So the basic hope, the big problem with launching stuff off of Earth is that fuel is both expensive and really heavy. For every like pound of fuel that you need to escape Earth's atmosphere, you can carry like less than a pound of stuff. So you have this like regressive, you need to exponentially increase the size of the fuel tanks that you're using to go up, and then the engines have to be larger and so on and so forth. So the goal is, it's a bell curve, not exponential. Okay, if we build a moon base, basically we can assemble everything and then launch it from the moon like really easily, because the moon has no atmosphere and very, very, very little gravity. Also, we could like make fuel there. Which is one of the reasons that we want water there, because we could break that down into hydrogen and make hydrogen fuel. And then we could refuel it from the moon basically for free. Well, not free, but,
The flight environment. We'd much rather find the bugs and limits now during testing than later on when there's more on the line.
And to reiterate, while we do determine an acceptable level of technical risk on our vehicle and pad
and
to learn as
helium-3
fast as possible, we accept no compromises when it comes to the safety of the public or our team. So all that to say, this is only the 6th of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And we tend to do our testing out in the open, just like today. And that means people sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform as we planned during that testing. And that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for, to physically see if hardware performance matches what we expect it to do or not. Even more with today's test flight, where we're purposefully pushing the ship beyond its limits.
Starship
They're really
development
preparing
is
us for
also
this
being
thing to blow
aided
up.
by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink
It's the
panels that
logistic
are
curve, which is related
incorporated
to the
into
bell curve.
Starship,
Okay,
and you
it's
can
some
see them
kind of
there
curve.
on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry, and also helps deliver us critical flight data engineers need to continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights, particularly through re-entry, which spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people across the globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon, Starship will deploy our next generation Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all around the world and beyond.
Unless you're Ukrainian and you're
Now,
moving
as we
into
continue to
the
prepare
Donbass.
for our next several flight tests, we recently performed a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with the vehicle debuting a number of major milestones. The ship has been stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location, and both of these things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle.
They just put more space junk in the orbit. I mean, well, eventually we are going to have to reckon with that, you know? The like halo, the shell of space debris around the planet. One of these days we'll get a cascading failure, and then you'll not be able to watch me anymore because all of the internet will be down.
Champagne, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen, which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As we continue to test, we'll learn more about what makes a great heat shield for Mars. All right, now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbase.
Hey, Kate, afraid I have nothing but good news for you. We have a go from our range safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85% full on booster, and not tracking any holds to an on-time liftoff. So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds, we might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our window at 4 p.m. Central. So toss it back to you guys one more time, but fun part about to start, we are, a little under 6 minutes away from launch.
All right, so we are continuing to progress now at 5 minutes and 43 seconds until liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
And then after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the deflector system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds, any issue after that would be an automatic scrub for the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the tank farm before we're able to make another attempt.
Now, it is just so unbelievable that it's just been only a little over a month, and we are just a few minutes away from Flight 6 The crowd here.
What's with the steam from rockets? I could be wrong, but I think that they keep it really cold until it, like, we're seeing the sublimation of the of the coolant, like, heating off until they actually activate the fuel. They're vaping, yeah. Making it the fuck up. No, I was right. It's because they keep it really, really cold because they want to have they want to have it, I guess maybe it increases, like, the burn efficiency or something. I don't know.
But that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah, not today. No shrimp boats, which is great. Everything so far is looking good. We're getting really excited here, just a few minutes away. We're going to go back, send it over to Dan in Starbase. How's it going, Dan?
It is still going great, just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load on ship momentarily. Then about 30 seconds later, we'll close out on booster. Our flight control team on board, or in the building just behind me, not on board. Some of them might wish they were on board.
I wonder if we'll ever actually build a mass
flight control
driver.
team in the building behind me, they're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off, as we still have a lot of manual checks that happen on the tower prior to the flight director, who's going to be Tristan Pierce again today, giving a manual command to bring the booster back to the launch site. And the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for a catch, and so we're hoping to see that again today. A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible, and looking forward to hopefully seeing that happen again. And of course, sending our first payload to space. You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero gravity environment, we should see our first Starship Zero Gravity indicator putting on a little bit of a show. And that's looking right in. That's where we're going to have Starlink.
That's Elon's contribution to this project.
So getting its right.
I hope we see, like, a critical banana failure, and that's what causes the ship to explode. Like when they start to elevate, it comes off the string and it, like, lodges itself into a critical outlet, and it sparks and the whole thing blows up.
Pushbacks, so all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those 33 engines and take off. Just quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that
Would you
heat,
eat a banana that's been in
sound.
space?
And then the engine starting up in 3 different groups. And then about a second after T0,
I mean, Tom Scott ate a loaf of bread that had been in space, right?
2.5 minutes into the flight, a little bit longer, we'll see hot staging, and that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops to see if we're going to be bringing the booster back for a catch today.
Garlic bread.
Do always want to caution, it's never a guarantee. We've done this once. We'll see if we do it again. We're only going to do it if the booster and the tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here. But coming up on a minute, not tracking any holds.
The radiation from the banana will affect the instruments.
Now. So as long as we don't have any last second things, which do happen. All right, flight director just confirmed T-minus 1 minute.
Oh, shit.
Key moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T-minus 40. And we flew right through that.
Flight directors go for launch.
All right, we're now T-minus 20 seconds until liftoff of Starship Flight 6. This will mark our second attempt to catch the Super Heavy booster at the launch tower, as well as
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, Vote 9. Okay, now he has to activate the RCS or it starts to spin wildly.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
All right, we're just a little over a minute
maximum
into flight.
dynamic pressure.
We're about 6 miles away, so all the sound's still hitting us here. Hearing good call-outs that power telemetry nominal, that's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up
14
on
kilometers up
screens.
already.
At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q.
Super cool, like air cone.
Now coming up in
sound
just
breaking
a little over a minute from now is going to be hot staging. So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down.
28 kilometers up already. That's crazy.
We call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead
How quickly
of main
they
engine.
move.
And so while we continue to watch it go up, a lot of our flight controllers looking at all the systems around the tower. Again, we have to send a manual command. Just about 30 seconds away from hot staging. And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cut off.
The return flag is set for true.
Ship engine start up. Stage separation.
All right, hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6 out of
boost
6
back
lit on the ship. Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse,
Looks
take
like it
in the
didn't blow
views.
up,
Hopefully I
lads.
got a booster coming home real soon.
Wow, from our view here, Dan.
Well, not yet, at least.
Great views of planet Earth behind that super heavy booster. Right now it is performing the
Ship
boost
chamber
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the upper portion of the vehicle.
What about the
Follow along with
banana?
The telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently, super heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back burn,
Avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
this boost back burn lasts just a little bit over a minute. So we've got a little, approximately
Yeah, I know.
30
What about it,
seconds
Ward?
left.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid
How do they
fins.
focus the
Your
cameras
offshore
on it if it's
diver.
moving 2 kilometers a second?
And we can
Very
also
good cameras.
see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
The next step for booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3 engines right before booster catch.
All right, now just real quick, we did hear the call out, booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As we said before, both the tower and the vehicle, as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria.
I'd
So
catch
we were
it
no-go
if I was
for
there.
tower catch.
It would have gone down
And we
differently if
did
I was
mention
there.
that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today, but what you're seeing on your screen is ship,
So it's just gonna plop in the ocean then?
currently making its way towards the Indian Ocean, still looking good so far.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right-hand
What's
side
the
of your
point if we
screen.
don't catch it?
Now, we've said before
Well, we get to see a
that
banana
it
in
was
space.
not guaranteed that we would be able to make a a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are accepting no compromises in any of those areas.
Exactly, and we're still going to get a lot of good
except for that one launch attempt where you sprayed hot debris for miles all around.
Again, we have an additional objective today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine.
Yeah, how long do they plan on cycling the planet here?
Being able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressure is nominal.
Which is important for orbital flights. And what you're seeing on your screen is a view from Super Heavy.
They're testing the heat shield on the upper stage. Gotcha.
Earth.
Yeah, once again, we are attempting an offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching it come down for a soft splashdown off
There's a fisherman.
the
Get out of the
Gulf
way!
Of Texas. We can see it there re-entering. We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Oh, we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines.
Going for a soft plot.
Gone down to 3, just as we expected. And what an incredible view
still pretty
of
impressive.
splashdown that we got today. Super Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be pretty
I wanted to
awesome
see it
once
splash.
again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing once again for the Super Heavy booster. Congrats to the SpaceX team for making that milestone as well. Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening.
What are we? Did they see the banana? What are they responding to?
Continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone is
Starship is in terminal guidance.
The booster slow was pretty impressive, though.
There.
They couldn't do a booster slow like that.
To what we see here on our
Sorry,
screen.
they couldn't do a booster slow like that with people in it, though, right? The G-forces, they decelerated from like a kilometer a second to basically nothing in just a few seconds. Yeah, they can. A human can survive that? Huh.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some
there wouldn't be people in that part of the rocket. I know that. I'm just curious.
By Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome for ship.
Full view looking aft on ship here.
Ship FTS is saved.
So is this rocket that's currently in orbit right now, or trying to achieve orbit, is it that you said that there won't be any space debris? Are they not going to jettison the lower part of this and just leave the top? Or is this whole thing meant to come back down into the atmosphere?
To Dan, who
it
can
all
give
goes
us
back.
that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. You guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see it lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today.
The trajectory suborbital.
And then
well, yeah, it has to be suborbital. They want the banana back, obviously, which we're still not seeing. Something terrible has happened to that banana. This is round Earth propaganda.
Keep trying to do it, as this is just a core capability of Starship and what's going to make it so incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about almost 10 minutes into this flight, so about 50 plus minutes still to go. Ship nominal orbit, so it's on its way around the planet. It's going to attempt to do an in-space burn. We're going to light one of those Raptor engines, the sea-level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not-too-distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry, maybe a splashdown. As you guys said, we're really going to be pushing ship on this one. We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we expect it might not do so great. And all that's to try and help us learn, see if we were a little too conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet.
So is the goal then that they're going to bring this entire second stage rocket all the way over to the moon, then land it on the moon, then escape it, get it off the moon, orbit the moon, and then go back to Earth, all in the fuel remaining in this one upper rocket portion? That's pretty impressive.
Around the pad and along the flight path was cleared prior to launch, and we expect
They
the
refuel
road
in
and
orbit?
beach to,
Yeah,
to
but like
remain
it's the
closed
same
until further notice.
Yeah, testing development flight hardware in a flight environment is what enables our teams to quickly learn and execute design changes and hardware upgrades to improve the probability of success in the future. Please do not attempt to approach the booster in the water for your safety as well as for that of our team that will be working on recovery. Now, we are going to continue, though. The mission is not done.
Exactly.
Elon's most soy fans currently like doggy paddling over to the site of the booster. You know, sprinting over there as quickly as they can.
For the next 35 minutes or so while ship continues to coast before re-entry. Now, as with previous flights, Starlink may enable us to talk to the ship through re-entry with no communication blackout. Now, we are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is completely certain.
Yeah, so if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back
You
in
really
a
going
few
to
minutes, around
cliffhanger the banana shot?
minutes.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and hopefully see a splashdown.
All right, well, we got it. No catch on the booster, but, you know, altogether still pretty impressive. The Starship deorbit is the coolest part, IMO. Well, we'll see if we see it. I could easily catch banana. True. I mean, maybe. Can someone explain the banana? Elon Musk was given the opportunity to contribute to the process. I had a friend argue that Elon plays a significant part in SpaceX. Is this real or is he lost? Your friend is lost. The only thing that Elon does is marketing. He's not responsible in any way for the engineering, except for, I guess, the extent to which the banana is a structural element of the Starship.